What could make your stomach drop when you hear something is going to be taken away from you? And that's what today's stability moment is all about. You know, maybe somebody told you they were going to take something or that they were going to leave. So a relationship is ending, so that is being taken away. Maybe you heard something that threatened you, that like you could lose an opportunity, or it was going to be given to someone else instead of you, or a job, or any of that. So it's like, that's today's stability moment. So I was going to say I recently, but just this morning, Lynette was talking about a word that has in astrology that somebody supposedly trademarked or registered or something, but they trademarked it, that has been being used for a really long time. And so, you know, whether the threat is real or not, about whether somebody can use that word or not use that word, because that word has been around for a long time, or that, well, it is a word. Anyway, the nervous system of the people who were talking about it triggered, activated. Just, you cannot do this. It's been around for a long time. Somebody else created that word, and so you can't take it. And I mean, just all kinds of stuff happening. And I started thinking about that, and as a stability moment. And I'll go into more about kind of on the spiritual side, but you know what happens is the stories start flying. We are meaning makers as peeparoos. We hear something and we're making meaning. Our brains need patterns, and they want it, and it wants solutions. They want it. The brain wants it. I'm talking about brains, like our brains. So, but a brain, it wants it. It's looking for patterns, and it wants a solution. And it's always, this is why if something will just be in your head for a long time, because you haven't found a solution and you're always looking for a solution. Why do we like puzzles? You got to solve it. It's that kind of stuff. Why are crime and other, investigative type of stories so popular? Because we want to solve things and we want to see things being solved. So this is the stories. The mind starts making up stories and trying to solve it or trying to figure it. But the stories begin, the fear arrives, the cortisol, the adrenaline, that you're taking this from me, you can't, like it's not like you're taking this from me, but that's the feeling. And it's like, you can't take that because it belongs to all of us. So you can't take that away from me. And but yet that's the feeling of something or somebody. Think about somebody living in a relationship or something. But you start telling yourself stories. The stories, the fear arrives, and that's what many of us do. That's what happens, and we react. We react to the possibility of loss. We'll talk about that in a second too, before it even happens. So one, we're getting a dopamine shot. Boing! I mean, this is the drama triangle, and did I speak about I think I look for the drama triangle in this series, the Stability Moment series, Stability Moments 365. But so that you understand the drama triangle. But there's a dopamine hit with anticipation. And why is gambling so, why is it so addictive? Because in that anticipation, it's like a dopamine hit, whether it's perceived as good or bad or whatever it is. This is why drama is so addictive, because it's a dopamine hit. And apologies for that. There's like the cotton trees and then my dogs and everything and the cat. So anyway, sometimes what destabilizes us isn't even the truth. It's not what is real. It's what we think might happen, and we already start those stories. We start living in a future that doesn't even exist yet anyway, but here we are with the stories. We experience the emotions as if they've already happened. Dopamine hit. And not just that, being destabilized, you get that first hit of dopamine, but then you're flooded. The more that you tell yourself these stories that are negatively impacting you, the cortisol and the adrenaline and everything starts being released in the body, and then pretty soon you're on fire. You are in survival mode, and that's what happens. So let's talk about some microstabilities. And actually, hold on one little second. I've got to let the dog go inside the house. Okay. Okay. Apologies, and I was banging on my necklace is hitting the microphone too. So thank you for your patience for that. So, when you fear the loss about to begin, that fear of loss begins, this is a perfect time to take that vagal breath. So 4 in, 6 out. Remember, it's not the 4 and the 6. It's that breath. Think about that as like something is happening, and that is, you're looking at the sympathetic breath. That's and then the parasympathetic is, so that's what you're doing. You're activating the vagus nerve to move you back into stability, into the parasympathetic. So when you're feeling that loss, like, maybe your house is going to be foreclosed on, or you're anticipating that it's going to happen. Like all of this is the anticipation. It may be a foregone conclusion in some instances, but the point is it's not about what's happening, it's about how we move forward. And these stability moments is about reclaiming and taking back our authority and taking back our system, so our nervous system, so that we're not spinning with spinning out of control with our programs, that the majority of them are negative, harmful, slow us down, stop us, self-sabotage us. That's the majority of the programming until we rewire our brains with the programs that we choose. So, and by the way, that stability spiral that will tell you how to spiral up, because this is the programmed reactor. To spiral up is the internal operator, and that is the stability spiral model, which is a free download. It'll show you exactly how to stop the spiral and your stability and the microstabilities that we are going to talk about right now. But you can download that. So when you feel the fear of loss begin to rise, pause. Remember, that first is the pause. The pause is your power. That literally, it's like to the brain. Stop all the cascading of chemicals and going through the body. And we talk about this, the lowering of the shoulders. Lower the shoulders. And then lower them once more to get them down and feel that breath of it. 4 in, 6 out, just more beats out than in. And ask yourself, this is the question, what has actually happened right now? Like right now in the present moment, what has happened? Where are you? Has something been taken from you in this very moment? And not tomorrow, not next week. And not the story, not the possibility. Where are you on that? What has actually happened? Then return to the facts. In Module 3, and I talk about Module 3 a lot, and there's a very big reason. So Module 1 is the rewiring. Module 2 is, Module 2 is the nervous system. Those really should be flipped around, because I made that, and then after I worked through like nervous system. But the point is, Module 3 is the stories that we tell ourselves, the drama triangle, and those stories, because we're meaning makers as humans, we take off on a story, we tell ourselves these stories, and then they start being true to us. They become our reality. And then the more we repeat, think about a history, a family history, and Uncle Ed did this, or Aunt Beatrice did this. I like those names. But anyway, and then it's repeated and repeated and repeated. And then when you actually hear the story from someone who was there, it's like, no, that wasn't the story. That's not what he did, or something else. But now it's like it's so many people's truth because the story has been told and repeated and repeated and repeated, and now it's a truth when it's not truth. But my point is, it was repeated and it became truth. It became reality. It became what someone believed, and that got wired in. So here's your self-talk phrase, and repeat this 3 times. Say it differently each time. So, I remain steady and clear even when uncertainty appears. I remain steady and clear even when uncertainty appears. You are telling your brain what it's doing. The brain is not in charge of you. You are in charge of the brain. Like literally, you are the boss. You are telling it what to believe. It will believe anything that you repeat. It is recording all the time. You repeat something, especially with conviction, emotion, the focus on it, the intention to believe it, and it'll believe it. You are not lying to you. This is the one thing with self-talk. People say, but am I lying? That's not true right now. Like, I still smoke. So how can I say that I'm a non-smoker? Well, because you are. Right now, you currently are still working through the habit, but you are a non-smoker. Right now you might be smoking, but that doesn't mean that you're a non-smoker. Factually, are you smoking? But because you're smoking, does that make you a smoker? It might make you a smoker in that moment. The point is, you're the one telling your brain, so it's not lying. When you say it and you say it to others, it's like, no, I'm training my brain. I'm telling my brain what it's going to record in there and wire in, so that it later supports you in not being a smoker, and not being a drinker, an alcohol drinker, whatever you want, not being an ice creamer. I could use that one. Sometimes I really like ice cream. So that is when you use this self-talk. I remain steady and clear even when uncertainty appears. Even if you don't feel steady and clear, you're telling your brain, I remain steady and clear when uncertainty appears, because you want to stabilize the nervous system. You want your brain to wire that in. The more that you repeat that, like every day, it gets wired in, it becomes a program. Okay? Here's another one. I trust myself to respond to what is real instead of reacting to fearful stories about the future. I trust myself to respond to what is real instead of reacting to fearful stories about the future. These are commands. These are internal operating systems for the brain. They are programs that will, the more that you say these things, the more that they get programmed in. And that's the repetition. So one of the most interesting things about being human, what we talked about, is that anticipation, it creates emotion. And you know it, if you look at it and you think about, like, think if you've ever gambled, it's, you know that it's like the pulling that handle or pushing the button or throwing the dice or whatever, even a board game for that matter. It's like Yahtzee. That's one of my favorite games ever. And you throw the dice and it's like, and then it lands and it's like, okay, now you got to find the solution, do whatever, think through it or whatever. But the dopamine hit, boom, it hit, right? And then if it's something negative, it's like, adrenaline and cortisol and and now you're destabilized. But it's true. These anticipations, we tell ourselves these stories. This is what we do, and then there we are with creating these powerful emotions that are driving us: the anticipation of winning, the anticipation of losing, the anticipation of success, the anticipation of failure. The nervous system, I have often responds, but it almost always responds before reality arrives, if there's anticipation about something. So stability means learning to separate what's happening from what I'm imagining. And that's where that pause becomes your power. And that's where your power returns when you understand that. This is why I'm not stopping sharing this message, because when you take control of, when you take back your power and you stabilize that nervous system, and you're always rewiring the brain with the programs. By the way, all of this stuff is always in the description. So I've got that stability spiral. I have the 30 days free, which is not my app, but the 30 days free of the self-talk to rewire your brain. I promise you, if you do it every single day, you will pay for it after that, because it's that good. I use it every day. And then my course, 6 weeks to stability and empowerment, it's a no-brainer when you look at it. Very inexpensive, and it is a life changer. And it does, by the way, in module 2 include the self-talk app, because if you're going to stabilize your nervous system and you're rewiring your brain for success, for the programs that you want, you then empower yourself to that internal authority, to trust yourself, to believe in yourself. It comes very naturally to do it that way. It's so easy. So the goal is, it's not that you're not going to feel uncertainty. Remember that what I am sharing here is not fixing a problem. It's not that maybe something might be taken away. That's not what it's about here. It is literally about remaining steady when uncertainty appears. And then coming from creating capacity to keep moving forward with clarity, which creates choice. That is the stability spiral. And the micro stabilities are those things that you can do one, like the breathing, or you can stack them, like going outside and earthing, or listening to a song, or humming, or doing a vagal breath, or anything that you stack that will help you to move you back into that inner stability. So pretty much that's where I'm at. I think we've covered it all. but that whole thing of loss, it is anticipation. And we are these meaning makers and creating these stories, and many times to our detriment. Many times to detriment in our relationships, because we think something about someone and we're projecting, and then we may accuse them of that or something. It's just like it goes in every area of our lives, and especially when we feel like something is being taken away from us. It's like, it's mine. And what I was going to add to that on the spiritual side is, the second like somebody says you can't use something, or it's taken, or any of that, or I'm right, you're wrong, we create separation. And that unity consciousness, that's us being one, like literally we are all connected as one. And so the more that we say I'm right, you're wrong, the more we create separation. When we say that's mine, it's not yours, and I'm not talking about like you have a home and it's your home. I'm talking about like something that belongs to all of us, and it's like you can no longer use it, even though it's like I was just thinking about that word, or the astrological word, or the things, and it's just like the more that we like grab and hold on and hoard and say this is mine and no one else can use it, something that belongs to all of us. Like, there's only one mind, by the way. Our minds connect to the great mind, and when we get that, we have the problems literally start dissolving, because they're already solved, and they're really not problems, but more challenges and opportunities, depending on how you look at it, on planet Earth. So I went just a little bit deeper, and that's just kind of a little taste of where um, some of the things that my beliefs in spirituality, but just ponder that a little bit. And it really does create peace when we stabilize our nervous system. We rewire our self-talk, what we say, our brains, what we say when we talk to ourselves, and we're focused on what we can do and what can be done versus what can't be done and what we can't do. Because we were born with unlimited promise and potential. You were born with unlimited promise and potential. And then you got programmed. Guess what? The good news, you can rewire that. You can rewire those programs and stabilize your nervous system, rewire those programs. Can you imagine what your world would look like? You wouldn't be seeing things being taken from you as much as everything is a message for positive change. What's around the corner? There's something like amazing. Like that was, it's the creativity starts to flow when you're not in survival. When you're in survival, you can't see past the box. You're in the box. And it's a closed box. And you feel it suffocating, And you're trying to run. You gotta run. You gotta survive. Anyway, that's the story. I love you so very, very mucho. You can do, be, change, have, create, become absolutely anything. You were born with unlimited promise and potential. So that means you can do, be, change, have, create, become absolutely anything. I believe in you. You can do this. As always, shining my light to brighten yours. Day 61 today. Woo! We'll see you for day 62 tomorrow. Ciao.